Hello, my name is Benny. Welcome to my garage. Right now I'm in the middle of doing fork seals on Jessica, the voluptuous Victory. But this video isn't really about fork seals. Really, this video is about nothing. It worked for Seinfeld, didn't it? Boop de boop de boop de boop de boo. I get comments, I get texts, messages, people saying, "Hey, Benny, when's the next video? Why are they so far apart lately? What's going on? I need videos. I need more videos." And to that I say, "Hey, thanks, Mom, but settle down." And they're like, "Yeah, I see your Facebook posts. I know there's stuff going on in the garage. Show us what's going on in the garage. It doesn't have to be a whole thing." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, fine. Uncle Benny's garage, giving the people what they want since about 10:45 this morning." So a few weeks ago, I got a flat tire, and I made a little video on it. It was just going to be like a short or a really, really short video. It turned out to be about 2 hours of my life. It was just a dumb thing. A couple of you watched it. Thanks. That weekend ended up kicking off just an endless stream of things that aren't really video worthy. The first one right after that, so I'm out here in the garage and I'm trying to work on the paver card steppers video. Now this was a learning experience on a lot of levels. Learning the software. Why is there water creeping across my... Hold on. Trace it all back around underneath the workbench. I'm pulling boxes out. There's water coming out the wall. And it's where the main comes up into the house. And it's leaking. And I'm like, okay. Long story short, that was 2 weekends of my life fixing that thing. Long story longer, I don't know if it's how the house was built or if it was repaired since then, but it had been there a while. It was really janky. There's this stuff that comes up from the ground through the foundation into the wall, and I eventually found out it was poly something, this black poly, and they don't use it anymore. And there's a reason, as they say, it becomes brittle over time, and they said if you have it, you're going to have to replace it at some point. Even messing with it too much, you might break it. And like, oh, okay. So there's that. But they had the copper in the wall glued into like a piece of like regular 1-inch PVC, and that glued down into this poly. I'm like, this cannot be the way this is supposed to be. And made the mistake of going to Lowe's, and let me just tell you, the Lowe's by me, the plumbing section is reminiscent of the toy aisle at Kmart back in the day. Hasn't been restocked in weeks. It's a war zone. It's a free-for-all. Every time I go there for something plumbing related, I'm like, why? Why did I do this? Why? And the important question is, there's these little pea-sized eggshells in the wall. What are those? I'm going to believe that they're like little harmless, friendly geckos. Maybe some kind of lizard egg. And they're super friendly, and they just want to sell me insurance and not some monster that's going to come out of the wall and try and eat me. Little eggs. Finally had to go to a plumbing supply store, bring in the professionals, and they finally had the connector that I needed to go from copper down onto this. It was like a shark bite kind of a thing. Finally got that together, but all my attempts to fix it, you got to completely solder and unsolder the pipes that are in there. You can't just do one connection, be like, hey, let's test this without putting the rest of it together. And then from all that, right on the other side of the wall is where PVC comes out to go down to the sprinklers. And from pounding on all that or heating it up too much, whatever like that. So then I had an issue out there. Back to the hardware store for the umpteenth time to get parts to replace that. But that entire thing was like, I felt like amateur hour. And if you do DIY projects of any kind, you know this feeling. It's the, I should be able to do this. I should be able to figure this out. Why isn't this coming together right? What am I missing? What do I need? Why can't I do this? I should be able to do this. And it gets so frustrating. And then since. So you know how if you turn the water off and then you turn the water back on, there's like a poof, poof, like as the air kind of goes through the pipes. I think that's what caused then in the backyard. The next morning when the sprinklers kicked on, I got a leak in the sprinklers, and that went on for a better part of a day before I noticed it, and everything's wet. The good news is that drain I put back there when I was building the train planter really does its job. It put a whole bunch of water out on the side street. While I'm fixing that, it's all muddy down, obviously, where it was wet underneath the sprinklers. And I think, you know what I'm going to do while I'm in all this? I'm going to turn the sprinkler valves so that they're vertical. Put some elbows in there so that if I got to change a valve or do things, they're up. Yeah, I'm so smart. But then every time I touch that thing, I fix the one thing and I come out the next day and there's another problem. The latest problem is it because I left them out in the sun for like one day? All the sprinkler valves look like they're deforming, and one day the seal was sticking out and another day it was seeping out of one place, and every time I touch one thing, another thing goes off. Maybe I just got to replace everything at some point. I don't know. In the middle of that, Blair Farrington calls me up. Hi, Blair. He's got this float, and it's really cool. The stage folds down on either side of it. It's got like a dance pole that goes up. The thing hangs off the side of it. It's got lights and sound. It's really cool. And so I first met this float when I did the Christmas show for him down at the Link years ago. And my job was to open up the thing and get it all set, and then there was this parade where all the performers would end up down on the promenade, and they would do this show, yay! They'd be done, and there was like bubble machines that would make it snow, and there was lights, and then the performers would go, and I would pack it up and move it off the street, and then an hour later, we would do it all again. A few times since then, he's pulled it out to use for different things, and every time from sitting in storage, there's something is not working right, and he'll call me up and go, hey, can you help me look at this thing? I say, sure. So now he's getting ready to sell it or something. I think somebody's going to buy it, maybe turn it into like a mobile DJ thing. I'm not sure. Well, I went down there one morning to help him out. We took a look at it. It's hot in that warehouse. It's actually only 107 today. It's a little overcast. The last few days it's been like 117, 118, but it's warm in there. Anyway, we got it going, and it turned out to just be an electrical issue. There's some e-stops that you can hit on the thing if something's going haywire. One of them wasn't conducting through, so we bridged the connections to it, and he's going to order a new switch. Boom, boom, boom. Tested everything out. We did have one little adventure where Steve was connecting the battery, and he arced the ratchet against the side post of the thing, and we got a little spark. Luckily, it didn't pop the big expensive fuses. It just started to smoke this cheesy little ground wire that was on there. It was like a little alligator clip kind of a wire, and so we replaced that, and everything's great. And it was not an expensive repair, so it's good. Yay! So we had that going on, and again, I thought about making a video. It really didn't turn into anything. It was just, a couple hours in the day. Buddy at work the other day, he's got a truck, and he comes into work, and his car died a couple times coming in. He had to jump it. His alternator's dying. He's one of those guys. He's very good at a lot of things, but he says, I'm not really a car guy. I don't know car stuff. I said, well, if I can help you, let me know. And we looked at it, and I said, yeah, hey, if you go get an alternator, I'll help you throw it in. Hi, Michael. We get it, and I look in there, and his battery terminals are really corroded. The battery's kind of leaking a little bit too. I'm like, we should change this stuff. So we go to the auto parts store. They don't really have the terminals he needs, but I'm thinking, we got to get him out of the parking garage and just, kind of an emergency fix. I'm like, well, here's some cheap these things. We'll make these work. And then when we put them on the car, I had to kind of bend the things to get the stuff right, and it's kind of a janky repair. But again, there. But the biggest thing was the wires. There's your main power wire off the alternator, but then there's two little wires and a plug on the back of it. One goes to ground, and one ends up going to like a control module somewhere. That plug is different So either he got an alternator for a different year, or they changed the plug since whatever. At night, I look online, I figure, oh, from this year to this year, I think, and from glancing at the socket on the back of the alternator for like 2 seconds, I think this is the plug he needs. It's kind of a generic one, whatever. I find it online for like $10. So go in. The next day, after work, we go out there, fits, perfect. I'm so freaking relieved. Splice the wires in, I'd also got battery terminals and everything. We put that on there. We got that going. And of course I didn't film any of that. That was just a dumb thing, helping out somebody at work. But it's just something else going on, Then I'm doing these things. And to get them apart, you take the caps off, and empty out all the old oil and take them apart, put the new seals in. You got a film full of oil before you put the cap back on, and you got to compress that spring back down. And I had taken them apart with like a clamp around the spacer, and then I put the ratchet strap on it. It worked. It was fine. But putting them back together, you got to be a little more careful. I don't want to spill the oil, and it starts to kind of get on everything. So I'm starting to do this, and it's not really working. So I had to order this $10 special service tool. I know it's a generic, it's basically just a ring, but these things, they screw in and they go into these holes in the side of the spacer, and it gives you a solid way to hold it. And to be fair, it did make it go a lot easier. It was $10 well spent. But it was supposed to come with this other little thing. Once you compress it, you stick in there and it holds against the spring like a little keeper. It didn't come with that part. I finally got these back together. I don't think they're leaking, so we'll put these back on the bike. Except, come on back over here. This is for one of the turn signals, and it goes on the fork. You can bend it. I think when it was new, you could bend it around the whole fork, but the plastic isn't as flexible as it used to be, so you really kind of have to slide it on there as you put the fork in. Well, on one side of the bike, hold on. Okay. All right, so there's this part, and then there's the light that goes over here. This middle rubber piece on the other side was cracked. And I had put some glue on it and just sort of taped it up a long time ago, and I figured, well, hey, while I have the fork off, I'm going to see if I can make one of these. So I took it apart. It kind of crumbled when I did so. Here's the other clamp piece without that rubber. There is a screw that goes in it. But so I measured it all up, and I drew it up in Tinkercad. Oh, this one's starting to crack a little too. Hey, I'm showing my crack. And I'm trying to 3D print this part out of some NinjaFlex TPU, because you can't get these anymore. You can't buy them. Sometimes you can find these original turn signals. They're a little overpriced because they don't make them anymore. Or you just switch to all new aftermarket turn signals, which may be something in my future. But in the meantime, I'm trying to make these, because I know other people out there, I see it on the forums, have asked about these too. Does anybody know where you get these? Does anybody know if there's a fix for these? Whatever. So if I could come up with a good file that people could 3D print these, I'll put it out there. I got it printing and I'm waiting. So here I am on my day off, and I could throw those back in the bike, but I need to, because it crumbled when I took it apart, now I kind of have to find a fix before I can put it back together, before I can put the fork tubes back up in here and whatnot on the other side. So that's what I'm waiting on to finish the fork seals, because I can't just do one job. I gotta, make it more complicated. So Halloween's coming up in a couple months, and so all the party planners and event planners and theater owners are starting to think about their creepy, spooky Halloween shows, which means all the entertainers that are getting booked for these are starting to pull out and revamp their spooky, creepy Halloween shows. Well, this is Harvey, a creepy teddy bear, and I wanted to do a whole video on this, and I sort of started to. The problem is it's part of a magic act, and the bear, he does some stuff. Hey. I don't want to give away any parts of the act. It's not my act. It's not my place to show everybody what's going in to this. He does a few different things throughout the act, or he's used in a few other tricks. I wanted to. I still got to finish him. I got to finish some decorations in the box. He's been stuffed away in his grandma's attic, you know, and he may or may not be possessed. We don't know. So, that's some of the things that have been going on in Uncle Benny's garage. I hope you're happy.
I hope you're happy.
Thanks for being concerned. Thanks for asking. Hey, why aren't we seeing more videos? I'm trying. I really am. It's kind of tough. I don't know if you've realized this, but I do this all myself. I'm multifaceted that way. I mean it though. Thank you for watching. Please keep those comments and questions coming. I'll try my best to keep up with them. I really do appreciate everyone who watches. Uncle Benny's Garage followers, the few, the proud. Cheers.